Circe, the dreams keep coming. Apex predators display their prowess in front of you. They offer their kills to you in deference, and they lead you deep into the jungle to a throne atop a pile of bone. And you turn away, again and again. You have not climbed the bones to face the whispers and promises of power, yet. This night is different, though. You see the throne of bone, but before you enter the clearing, something else catches your attention, something deeper in the jungle. And so, in dream fashion, you turn toward it and delve into the darkest shadows of this overgrown place. You only notice the spider webs when you realize that they're covering nearly every branch and every leaf. The strands are thicker. Bulging bundles and cocoons of web suggest larger prey is caught within them. And then, hanging in front of you in enormous web, is a cocoon the size and shape of a person. Your finely tuned hunter's awareness picks up a heartbeat, a breath from within. Is this another gift? No. This is different. This cocoon is like a patch in the hole in reality. The creature sleeping within carries a curse. You can see strands of web woven into fate itself, and you can sense the weaver herself, sitting in the web, a powerful creature using a witch's magic to change the truths of the world. This entire forest invites you to seize power and become the ruler here. All you have to do is show your terrifying power and grab the threads of destiny for your own. Why do you resist so strongly?
Because I am alone in the dream, and the idea crosses my mind that the person inside of the web might be me.
I would ask for Circe, because the offer of power comes again and again. Is there a reason why she turns it down because she's alone? If she had her coven here, would she take power aggressively? Or does something keep her from leaning into that violence of hers?
Yeah, she's afraid of crossing the line of getting power for the sake of power itself, and then not being able to come back to a position in which the power is shared.
Naya, goodness, it's been a long time since you heard that name. Or has it been? It's been a timeless time. You've been busy doing the work of weavers. Though the void has eaten into the web through the works of mortals, you have slowly, meticulously, and precisely repaired the strands of existence. You know that your sisters, your other selves, have been doing the same, replicating your labor in the aether where they reside in the material. But you couldn't say how long it's been since you've been with them. It is when your mind turns toward your sisters that you realize that there are two presences with you here on the web. Something in what remains of your mortal spirit stirs with excitement that perhaps they are here with you again. Reach your senses out along the strands of web to find them, and what returns to you darkens your mood. The strand of order of the sovereign, the strands of which the god Taios was composed, woven into mortal ruler of men. You unbraided them. You and your sister selves unwove it. You unwove Taios. And yet, as you follow those strands nimbly picking your way along the web, you realize that they have rewoven somehow with another mortal. This is different, though. As you tread the path that these strands form, you realize that they have woven themselves into a cocoon. The mortal you sense is trapped, or perhaps held within it. And from the other side of this aberration in your domain, a second mortal nears. Tell Circe what she sees as she approaches this space between her dreams and your realm here on the web. And what is your instinct as an apex predator of spirit when you find your work interrupted by this specter of your enemy?
Circe sees a large, black, looming body, 8 appendages, an uncanny movement that is graceful and precise. A scurry gets closer to Circe. 8 large eyes staring at this mortal creature, but with a sense of kindness. What this creature says is, Ophelia? No. Emmett? No. Who or what are you? And why are you here? What Circe also sees is a kind of shifting and a morphing of this giant spider weaver, transformed back into her mortal self, a kind of like spiritual kind of change, into a young girl with locks in her hair, looking a little confused, but excited that there is someone else here in this space with her. She senses companionship and waits.
Naya, as you approach this other witch in a spirit of friendship, your attention turns back to this cocoon that speaks to you so strongly of that being, let's call it that its presence on the web is the reason why you have this power in the first place. And you can see this reweaving. What do your instincts tell you to do as you approach this cocoon and this other witch?
I think Naya, knowing that this cocoon is a source of power, and that this power that she has is neither good nor bad, it is a responsibility. I think she looks towards Circe and says, you should take a few steps back from this. I don't know if you want the same type of responsibility. And so I think she steps in between Circe and this cocoon, not in a threatening sort of way, but just in a kind of cautious, be careful, you do not know what this potentially is or can do to you.
Circe, a 50-foot tall spider steps in between you and this cocoon you approached. But it seems friendly. How is this landing for you, given that what you have been offered is power, and this is a being of great power who is attempting to hold you from it?
Circe is extremely curious about this creature. She knows the spider is not aiming to attack her. She loves actually huge animals or insects. So she's fascinated and curious and cautious also. But then suddenly she notices she's not alone anymore, and that this might be a quest interesting to solve. So she tries to communicate, to make this other creature feel is also not willing to attack them in any way, that she's just there in peace and in curiosity.
What does Circe do to show that she's coming in peace, or to say? What does she say also? Because this creature, showed you a person as well. They morphed and transformed and showed you a woman. And so how does Circe approach this being who has two selves?
Well, she says, what an amazing piece of work you've done here. I've never seen anything like this in the jungle, and I come from the deepest jungle you can imagine. What's your name? I'm Circe.
Thank you for admiring my work. I've been doing this for so long. This web has just been years in the making. So I remember my name is Naya, I believe. It's been forever since anyone's called me that. but I've just been here removing these black spots that keep breaking these strands, and they kept coming here over and over and over again, and finally, we're at a place where it's clean. And thank you for noticing my hard work. It has been a lonely adventure, but this cocoon it's strange. Like, you see, every strand here it represents a larger piece of the world. Love, chaos, order. Everything has its place. So we can't just separate these strands. No, but this is weird. I've seen this before. Of webs and strings attaching themselves in places where they should not be. I wove a creature with my sisters long ago, and yet we're back to where it all started. I don't know. Be careful.
Naya, behind your excitement of speaking to someone, you mentioned the void, and as you are speaking to her, the presence of the void is growing larger in your mind, and you can actually feel it within this cocoon. You can't see it. This is not a cocoon these strands of this cocoon are not being eaten away like the drone shunts were eating away at the other strands, but something inside of it has that dark pull. And you realize that is also part of what you are sensing. What you came to understand as you were fighting Tyos is that though it was composed of order and sovereignty, it truly was the void that animated it. It was that draw into nothingness. And you're feeling it so strongly here, inside of whatever this is. Much more strongly than any of those individual shunts were within their places within the strands. And that pull drags your attention towards the cocoon.
I think Naya is going to just immediately stop talking, excitedly as she is about cleaning up her work and noticing the fact that someone has also noticed her hard work. And she's just going to start walking over towards the cocoon, inspecting it, with all of her arms, moving it around and trying to... She's clearly looking for something. And I will just whisper, the void. It's back, but it's so clean. It looks so clean, but it's back, but it's so clean.
Can you give me either investigation or arcana? Your arcana is plus 0.
Let's go. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Let me go to my other tab. I forgot for a moment we are playing D&D.
Yeah, your investigation is plus 5, your arcana is 0.
18?
Amazing. Naya, you start picking at the strands of this cocoon, but as dexterous as you are with your 8 limbs, even as you pull these strands away, they start to reform almost as soon as you pull them away. But what you see at the head of this is a witch slumbering inside of it. The strands of the web are not woven into this witch the way they had been woven into Tyos, but rather around it, holding it. It's almost like order and sovereignty are attempting to keep this from getting out further along the web. And as you go at it a little bit harder, just to try to pull a little bit more away, but you realize upon this witch's head, on their brow, is this presence of the void. It's something that you can't actually perceive with your many eyes. It's just this dark pull that is holding the witch there.
Circe, you watch this other entity of power struggle to observe and understand this particular cocoon, and you can feel there's a particular sensation of the edges of the world that witches toy with. In your tradition, witches are able to change truths of the world by changing truths of themselves. But this is a dangerous work, because if you start to change a truth and you leave part of it open, then a void creeps in and begins to peel it apart. And so a witch's magic is not something to be taken lightly. And you can feel almost like seeping in around the edges, like the cold air seeping in on a winter's day through the windows and under the door. Some sort of void beyond the world is trying to claw its way in here. And there's a danger with unwrapping this cocoon without taking care of magic, that if you unwrap it wrong, that void could spill forth like a wave. And you watch this spider, witch, weaver, working to understand this. You see this gathering on the brow, and then the web closes back up as if it's resisting. But you know this can't stay here for long. Something has to be done. It occurs to you that perhaps there's something you could offer if you were able to work a little bit of magic here that could change something about this web, that would allow this weaver a chance to do her work. You might be able to repair this void and perhaps help whatever witch is trapped within.
Circe senses that whatever is behind this gate is very powerful, and it kind of scares her. And she also notices that Naya, even though she has done an amazing, impressive work, and it's like she's quite impressed by this presence, she also notices that she's struggling and that she might be younger than Circe herself. So she feels a bit insecure, like unsafe. So she would like to support, to use her magic to help strengthening this web and to close the void. And for that, I would use the deep down I'm caring, afraid, and we listen to reason.
Which one?
Which one of those? Afraid.
What do you do to your fear?
I let it out. Let it go when it goes like out of her mouth in the form of this red snake that lands on the ground and quickly goes into the jungle, into the forest.
Naya, you see this happen. This is a tradition that you're not familiar with, a tradition of magic that you don't know. But what you see is this fear released in the form of a snake from Circe's mouth. And you know that fear is one of the strands of the web, and so this snake slithers off into that strand, goes and strengthens it. And you see what she's doing. She is strengthening you. Now, here's the deal, though. You are a legendary creature, and you are struggling with your ability to unweave this cocoon, this aspect of the void, and you know that in order to do so, you need three legendary actions. You just saw one. You perhaps can contribute one of your own, but there is actually a third presence here who could help you with that. Jacob. You are being held here. You are being puppeted by this entity. Are you here willingly?
I am not here willingly.
Naya, what do you do to reach this third presence to see if they can help you to unweave this cocoon, unweave this aspect of the void?
I actually want to send like a message, just a simple, just hold a conversation.
Yeah.
I imagine that, as I'm trying to unweave this and struggling, which, I feel like I've been doing this for so long that there shouldn't be any give in this way or any pullback or pushback from the strands. But having seen a hand, also knowing that there should be no other people here, Naya takes all of her 8 arms and kind of holds the cocoon a bit and just, as best as a spider can, with probably not having actual eyelids, but you get the sense, eyes are closed, and Naya just whispers, "Can you hear me?"
Jacob, you hear this deep within yourself.
It takes time. It's like when you speak out a word into a long hallway or cave, and it has to travel the length of it before the listener receives. And so there's a long moment. And in order to respond, the listener needs to gather power. And it reaches to one of the most powerful sources around it, which is the web surrounding it. And from its brow, emanating outward, you can watch this webbing of the cocoon begin to dry and become brittle as you hear a voice that says, "Let me out." The cocoon has turned in your hands almost to a husk. Circe, you watch this. The fear that you gave up, that you held deep inside you, has given space for others to show their fear. Now that you have space to receive it and hold it, holding your own fear made you somehow unable to see the fear of others, and you see releasing out of this cocoon, perhaps what is drying out of this and turning it into a husk is more fear exiting this creature. What you have done has allowed for this trapped witch to express how scared they are.
Naya, you know it will take the 3 of you. You've heard back from this being trapped in this quickly drying husk. What spell do you offer it to help pull it out?
What I really want to offer this person inside this cocoon is protection, that we are all in this together, that she has seen these strands be woven into a mortal being before, and if you can unweave an entity that should not exist once, you can do it again, and that with Naya's presence and Circe's presence working together, you will be safe. And so Naya casts Magic Circle as a kind of protective ward.
And Jacob, what do you offer to help these 2 witches pull you out?
This witch in the husk offers 2 pieces of magic. Perhaps the same magic, but each of you receives it in accordance to your own tradition. As your magic circle casts Naya, this witch weaves a remove curse spell into it as you watch the husk begin to flutter and disintegrate, the layers of it falling apart around them. Circe, you watch this entity give up an anger within them, an anger of themselves for being tricked into this trap.
As the 3 of you combine your magic together, the cocoon around this figure disintegrates, and then everything goes white.
Their spirit has been shrouded by the being who elevates one above many. With what object has it enclosed their mind? We cannot see.
That was Maricarmen Guitérrez Castro as Circe and Ashlyn Sparrow as Naya. Sara Brink and Jacob Wolf Lefton were the game masters. Sound design by Sara Brink. This scene was produced for the alternate reality game Broken Sky, which was played over Blue Sky in July 2025 as cross-promotion for the Witches of Guitérrez and Oops All Witches. This is a Dancing Stickman production.